Window, one Fox, take one.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Neutral Zone Unmasked. I'm Ray Tessie. I'm your host. We've got some very exciting guests tonight. We do want to remind you we have Ashley Armstrong and Larry Fleming and Dan Scanlon, who are working in the background, and they are part of the staff. And we're going to let them ask questions and all of that good stuff and get involved. Just a quick note before we get started. I was reminded today that today would have been Gene Roddenberry's 99th birthday. So happy posthumous birthday to Gene. And it's also Jonathan Frakes' birthday, I believe. So a couple of Star Trek people who I think we all know pretty well. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest for the evening. We have Wyatt Lenhart, and Wyatt played Ensign Chekov in Star Trek Continues and also in the Vignettes. And we might talk a little bit about his music. We're not sure, but we might talk a little bit about his music. And we also have Cat Roberts. And Cat Roberts played Lieutenant Palmer in Star Trek Continues as well in a number of episodes. So let me introduce you to Cat Roberts first. She was actually in 8 of the 11 Star Trek episodes. You may not know that she is also a practicing physician. So nobody send in, what's ailing you tonight. Okay. This is all Star Trek. You may also not realize that she's been in perhaps the greatest number of different Star Trek fan films of anyone. And she played Yeoman Rand in the Red Shirt Diaries, the Federation Files, and she's in an unreleased episode of Star Trek New Voyages. And I think there's a bunch of those, but that's okay. She also played 7 of 9 in Voyager Continues, and that was, can't think of the name of the episode. I had it, but it's gone. She also made a voice appearance in Blade of Honor, and she was recently cast as Sadie in a yet-to-be-filmed movie, Storyville, that stars multiple women of Star Trek, including Marina Sirtis, Terry Farrell, Nana Visitor, and Kitty Swink. So, please welcome Cat Roberts.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. Cat, we're glad you're here. So I'm going to ask both of you the same upfront question, which is, were you a Star Trek fan before you got into Continues? And how did you get cast in the role that you had?
Wyatt, you go first. You had a more important role.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this story begins at, an anime convention in 2010, long time ago. I was there. To answer the first question, yes, I was a huge Star Trek fan. Obviously, I'm not old enough to have grown up with the show, but when I was young, my dad brought home, I watched the movies all growing up. I had them on VHS. We had the box set. And my dad brought home the DVDs when I was 10. And I used to watch them every night before I went to bed. So I'd probably seen the show like 10 or 15 times back to back. I just would start at the beginning and go all the way to the end. And I was at a convention, and Vic was a guest there, and he had mentioned that I was not there for Star Trek. Star Trek was like, nobody even knew that was a huge part of my life. And so I'm sitting there with my friends, and he would have these trivia panels where you would try and ask him original series Star Trek trivia questions, right? And I'm listening, and I kind of perk up, and he's like, yeah, come see if you can stump me. And I'm like, I'm at an anime convention. This is before Netflix. This is before kind of the Star Trek resurgence, or the original series resurgence. Like, the movies hadn't been announced, nothing like that. And so I stand up in front of this group of people and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to kick your butt. And my friends are like, okay. And so like one of the, the dude with the mic comes over and hands it to me. And he's like, okay, let's see what you got. He's like, give me your toughest question that you can think of. And I'm panicking because now I'm in front of a huge crowd of people with a microphone at 14. And I just think of the hardest question that I can your brain just like pulls something out of nowhere. It was a question that somebody had asked me from like an encyclopedia like 5 years ago. And he's like, oh yeah, that's weird. I didn't know the answer. I just remembered it as the hardest question I could think of. And he's like, okay, what's the answer? And I'm like, hey dude, you got to go to the panel. And I like mic drop and just like walk out of the room with my posse. And I'm like, guys, we have to find the answer to that question or I am a dead man. They're like, you didn't know? And I called my dad that night and, he's putting in episodes and we're like going through trying to figure out what's going on. And I realized that I had asked a question that was wrong. I'd like mixed 2 episodes together. I said the quote wrong. It was impossible. And so I'm like, I can't show my face there. Like, I went all in and I know I'm wrong. So I can't even go. And I was in like cosplay. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll go out of costume and nobody will recognize me. And so we go and I kind of sit off to the side and I had no idea how big of a fan Vic was of Star Trek. I mean, how could you possibly know that? He walks in, and this is way before Continues was a thought, in full original series Star Trek uniform that he had made. He tracked down the guy who handmade the boots, and like his tunic was made from the original bolts of fabric, and like the neck piece had been taken from an original uniform. And I'm just sitting there like, this is a bad time. I'm about to have a really bad time. And as soon as he finishes talking on the accuracy of his uniform, he just goes to the mic and says, where's Wyatt? And I'm like, uh-oh. And, my friends are all like, he's right here. And so, after that, we just kind of became friends. And I would talk to him at conventions just about Star Trek stuff. And it was a couple of years later that he was like, hey, I'm thinking about working on this project, and I think that you should audition for it. And so I had a background in acting. I did a lot of local stuff. I actually worked at a place called the Chris McAuliffe Space Education Center, which was like kind of difficult to explain, but basically we had starship simulators built to look like sets from Star Trek. And, we run simulations in real time with software and actors. And so I was kind of already in that space. And Chekov was my favorite character. So when he was like, hey, you should audition for Chekov, it's like I already had everything that I needed right there. So it's kind of a long-winded story. But yeah, that's it.
That's a great one.
That was a good story.
Mine
Yes.
starts in 2013 in an elevator. So it's Phoenix Comic-Con and I get on an elevator and I'm on the elevator with Chris Doohan, but I don't recognize him, although he looks so much like his dad when he's geared up and on set, but like day to day, I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who he was. I don't even really remember the conversation and it couldn't have been that long. It's an elevator ride, right? But I think he said something like, do you like Star Trek? And I was like, yes. And he's like, well, you should come to this thing tonight. So I wind up going to the Star Trek Continues panel at Phoenix Comic-Con, which I would have gone to had I known about it, but I hadn't. But I go to it and then nothing happens, right? Nothing happens. Christmas rolls around and my husband gives me the best Christmas present ever, which was, I don't know how he found out about it, but he found out about the walk-on, that you could donate to the Kickstarter and get a walk-on role. And so my walk-on role was a Christmas present. And I started, and they put me in there as Palmer. And people liked seeing Palmer again, which broke my heart. And then I just kept coming back. They just kept inviting me back. It was amazing.
Well, the question I've got for both of you,
Dan, you're muted.
I lost you.
Dan, you're muted. I had you for a second.
you turn, there we go. The question for both of you, thank you, Kat, is what were your reactions the first time you walked on the sets?
You go first.
Okay, so, well, first of all, like I was alone. So I'm like driving down this dirt road. My iPhone's telling me to go this place. I'm like, this is wrong. Like, this is super wrong, you know? And I get to this big warehouse and it doesn't look like anything. And there aren't really any cars there. And there's nothing that says Star Trek. And I go in and actually I get stopped right at wardrobe because that's right where you walk in. And they're like, no, wait, Kat's here. Vic wants to give you the tour personally. So Vic came out and walked me through the whole thing. And I'm telling you, I almost cried. Like it didn't occur to me that it would feel so real, that the sets would flow into each other. It's just, I mean, it's hard to explain the effort that was put into making these and supporting them. And I'm so thankful to Ray for preserving them. It's just really amazing. Wyatt, what about you?
I remember the first time we went to go film, we didn't have all the sets finished. And so we had, the bridge was mostly done. They were still working on the console. And we had one half of the corridor and the engineering room. The transporter room. And I walked in, and it wasn't lit. It was half taken apart. We were there the day before to kind of go over like costume fittings and makeup and, just kind of general prep stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, this is amazing, because I've been in a lot of different sets, just for like kind of generic starships, but nothing quite this accurate to the original show. And then I put my uniform on and it was cool. It was awesome. But the thing is the next day when we came back and it was lit and we were in uniform and we were on set and we could not, everybody there was just like, it was like this the whole time. We were just like staring. We couldn't get any work done for like the first couple of hours because we were like, man, this is so cool. Yeah, I'll never forget. We just sat around almost like in complete euphoria, just like it's like we were in a different dimension. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was on the ship.
I agree. Ray, you're muted.
Yes, you are muted, Ray.
Don't mute me. I'm only the piano player. I had the same reaction. Vic wanted to give me the tour, and I was totally dumbfounded. I had no words at all. I know I'd seen it, but it was a little bizarre. For Wyatt, so do I assume that that first trip to the studio was to film the vignette?
Correct. Yeah, we shot the vignettes there. And so the sets that you see in the vignettes were all we had at the time. So, and in fact, in my vignette, you've got the con, there is a reverse shot of me when I turn around and give my line to Sulu. But because we didn't have the full wraparound of the set, that's actually a flipped shot. So I'm sitting in Sulu's chair, giving that line in reverse because we didn't have a backdrop for that part of the set. So like if you were to shoot that at my chair with that same angle, you would just see the warehouse. Like there's nothing. So we didn't even and we built that later so we could get those shots because you see that in a lot of other episodes. But for that first vignette, yeah, we didn't have the full wraparound of the bridge.
Cool. So, Kat, here's a trick question.
Oh, trick one. Okay, I'm ready.
A trick question. But you've obviously done a lot of other Star Trek roles, right?
Yes.
Red Shirt Diaries and all. Had you done those before you did Continues, or was Continues your first Star Trek role?
No, Continues was my first. No, I'd never done any acting whatsoever. Not at all. It never occurred to me. Why would I? Right? I'm a doctor. I'm busy. But I'm telling you, it's kind of addicting. So that was my first one, and then I did the other one subsequently.
Well, you sounded like McCoy. I'm a doctor. I'm not an actor. So how did you get the other roles? I mean, did people find you, or did you go out for them?
Yeah, no, they just reached out to me, which was great because, I wouldn't know how to get roles, really. No, it's just people just contacted me and they're like, hey, we think you'd be a good Rand. You want to be Rand? And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to be Rand. Who doesn't want to be Rand? And
That's
7
very
of
cool.
9, that was great. The outfit, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Was that David Whitney's production? Yeah, I've spoken to David a little bit. He's done a very nice job with that series. So now I'm going to have to go back knowing that you're 7 of 9.
Pretty short, but
Doesn't matter.
minutes.
Doesn't matter. Do we have that video queued up, Ashley? Do we want to try that?
Wyatt or Cat?
We could do Wyatt, since Wyatt talked about the vignette, and then we'll do Cat. Well,
Watch for it.
You know what I mean.
All right, give me.
All night duty personnel, report status for shift change.
Why do I keep volunteering for night shift?
Because it counts points toward promotion. Besides, it's not so bad.
Easy for you to say, from where you're sitting.
Rank has its privileges.
Boys.
Is it comfortable?
Hmm?
Because it looks comfortable.
Why don't you find out for yourself?
You must be joking. It is comfortable. I could get used to this. Who am I?
Now you must be joking. Course heading, Captain?
Call me Saw.
The best starship in the fleet will be the first one commanded by a woman.
Czar, you're relieved.
Don't mind if I do. Doesn't this just feel right? Lieutenant, open up a channel. My, don't you look absolutely beautiful today? Mr. Chekov, Mr. Sulu, set a course for Starbase 10.
Aye, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Steady as she goes, Captain.
All ships report ready for shift change, Captain.
Maintaining course as per your previous orders, Captain.
Would you come here a minute, please, Lieutenant? I can't imagine a better female captain. Someday. If I know anything, I know you have what it takes to command. And so do you. And you. Your ships will have the finest captains in the fleet because I've got the finest crew in the fleet. Maintain course and heading, Ensign.
Absolutely wonderful. Just a quick comment now that I'm looking at it in light of some of the things we've talked about. So Wyatt, you said that when you first got there, parts of the sets weren't built, you know, there was still work being done. And for the first time, I noticed that the lights in the background were not blinking. They're static.
Correct. Those had not been built yet. They were just, I think they were just floodlights or maybe just static LEDs. But when we came back to shoot the first episode, our DP Matt Busey actually like custom built and programmed the LED controllers for all those panels.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Ashley, if you want to just cue up Cat's video, but maybe before we show that, if you don't mind me asking at this point, and either one of you, maybe, you know, if since that was your vignette, Wyatt, you know, we recently lost Wyatt. We lost Grant. And I'm just wondering what your memories are of maybe that video, that vignette of working with him. You kind of sat side by side for a long time. I hope you don't mind me asking, but I just would like to get your thoughts.
You know, the first time I met Grant was on that shoot, and the day before, when we came in to do costume fittings and makeup, like I mentioned the day before, we all sat around and he pulled up his favorite Star Trek episodes, which was Mirror Mirror, and he had it on like an iPad, and we all just kind of sat around and watched it and talked about how cool it would be to do you know, the alternate universe, mirror universe episode one day. And we, you know, ultimately got to do that. And I think that was really cool because that was his favorite episode. And it's one of my favorite episodes too. But we would sit at the console, and I have a picture of this somewhere, but the console wasn't even on the bridge yet. And we're sitting there pretending to put our hands on buttons that don't exist just because we were so excited to be where we were. Grant was such a huge fan, and he always talked about how cool it was to have Sulu and George Takei as a role model growing up, and representation on television. And I just always thought that was such a cool thing to be a part of. But yeah, Grant was just the most kind and brilliant person I've ever met.
Nice, very nice story. Very nice tribute.
So I do have one question, Wyatt.
Yes.
How hard was it to actually do the Russian accent?
So there were some words that were really difficult, but I kind of had already figured out the accent. It was something that I did growing up because Chekov was a favorite character of mine, and I loved to quote the show. And my experience at that simulation center, a lot of my characters were based on Chekov. So I would do impressions of him, you know, as a Russian, not with the same name. But so when Vic actually asked me to do the accent, I immediately just kind of, you know, launched into it. So.
Yeah, before we move on, I want to go over to Cat, and you know, if you'd like to give some of your memories of Grant, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that video was it was actually surprisingly hard to watch. You hear people speak of Grant as being kind, and you hear a lot of people say that, and it's hard for me to express the kindness he exuded at all times to all people. You know, again, I was like a nobody. I'm new on set. Everybody knows each other. I walk in and we have these little cubbies with like our names written on pieces of tape. And I walk in and I'm like, my name, my little cubby is next to Grant Imahara. And then I was kind of worried about meeting him. And it was just so easy. He's so intelligent. And he always brought like cool tech on the set. He was always taking pictures. I remember he brought in this one crazy, like vertically oriented camera that spun, that took all these 360 pictures. He took a picture of me that is like one of my favorite pictures of me on set, because I sit like reverse cross-legged a lot. And he took a picture of me doing that. And he was just so wonderful to talk to all the time. You could talk to him about anything. And he had such a wonderful, you know, like engineer minds are so logical. And he was just so overwhelmingly kind that having him die was just the next horrible thing about 2020. I don't want to bring everybody down, but I'm like, it just was devastating.
I appreciate you sharing that. Looks like it might have been a little difficult, but thanks for doing it. Ashley, should we actually, Dan, I think you have a picture of Wyatt and Grant sort of in the scene that he was talking about, or the situation he was talking about.
Yeah, I do believe this is the first time both of them were on the set. They're both in black T-shirts, and I remember both of them were fooling around with their accents and getting a little comfortable. It was that nighttime. They'd all just flown in. They were tired, and I agree, Kat. Grant was quiet. He was humorous. He was so smart. I remember that 360-degree camera on the little tripod. It was just amazing. And he was a blast. You were all blessed to work with. I mean, it was so much fun there. But I do remember, and the reason why we only had one part of that corridor was that's all we needed for that first vignette, which was to finish up the last episode of Star Trek with the Dr. Lester taking over Kirk and vice versa. So we had just what we needed, and we'd had to work like crazy at night sometimes to get that stuff up. But it looked so darn good. And then we come to the bridge, and there you all are for the first time. And the captain does his thing and then turns to Scotty, Chris Doohan, and says, "Let's go."
Very cool. Very cool. Do we have the cat video?
Yeah.
Let's do that so we could all take a little bit of a break.
Lieutenant, open a channel with Calphus.
Channel open, sir.
Lieutenant Palmer, please inform Starfleet Command that the Chalcidian Defense Grid console may be defective. Request an ETA for a replacement.
Right away, sir.
Ow! You can't analyze a triaxulated signal like that.
I'm sorry.
Pathetic.
The HUD's warp core is critical. I'm detecting a significant gravimetric field, sir. Stronger than we anticipated. The moon's destabilizing, sir.
Palmer's an expert at countering solar interference. I'll have her modify the sensors. Create a targeted scan.
She found them, sir.
Radio signals coming from an asteroid in the inner belt.
Do you know anything about it? Population?
Not yet. I'm working on it, sir. Identification confirmed. SS Halifax. Sir! The mains are going offline.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you. Those were good times.
Those were good times. Did you, obviously, Lieutenant Palmer wasn't in too many episodes of the original series. I think only 2. I know of the Doomsday Machine, and I think she was in another.
The Way to Eden, not my favorite. Probably not anyone's favorite.
Probably why I don't remember what it was. But I
like
remember.
Good job.
Really? Way to Eden? Of course you would. But I remember even when I was a kid and that episode came on, and the first reaction is, whoa, you know, where's Uhura, right? But as an actress and as a character, I thought she was so dynamic, especially in the confrontation between Decker and Spock. And she just gets really stiff and rigid and like, yeah, okay, we got your ass now. Pardon me, everybody. But did you, I don't know if this is the right way to phrase the question, but did you channel her when you played Palmer?
Well, you know, I'm not sure I have the skill to channel anyone. But I did go back and watch every second I could of her showing up, and actually then cut all the little bits together so I could try to look at her mannerisms. And then we had a whole extended 20-minute discussion on set because she wears her ear communicator on the right in Doomsday Machine, and then she wears it on the left in Way to Eden. And why does she do that? And why is she, which one are we picking now? And I'm actually wearing the wrong ear today because my hair's not up. But I mean, it was that kind of detail on set that I actually did feel like I needed, you know, to understand at least who she was for what we did see of her. And then she's actually in a bunch of books, like Star Trek fan books, especially some of the ones with the Mirror Universe.
Sorry about that. I somehow unmuted everything. But that's me.
Yeah.
Let's stay with you, Kat, for a second. So what surprised you most about being in Continues?
Okay. So again, like I'm a stranger showing up on set. By the time the fairest of them all comes around, you've got a pretty tight set. Everybody really knows each other. They're all close friends. And it did not occur to me that I would be so welcomed and I was just brought in as family. So not only was I in that episode, I was in further episodes. I went to cons, I went to, film premieres, I went to parties at Rod Roddenberry's house. I mean, come on, all of their friends became my friends. And to this day, I talk one-on-one with at least one Star Trek Continues person every week, not just social media talk, like directly talk too. So to have these people be lifelong friends was just, it was crazy. And it just blew me away. The love and the love and the acceptance was crazy. It's a wonderful group of people.
Very cool. Very cool. Wyatt, anything surprise you about being in Continues?
Well, I mean, other than the fact that it was an experience like I'd never had in my entire life, it got to be this really cool thing that I got to do a couple of times a year that nobody really knew about. I was in high school. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to film a web series out in Georgia, and a lot of it was like my street cred for being a Star Trek nerd, because I was so young. A lot of times people will give me crap and be like, oh, you didn't watch the original series. And I'm like, no, it's my favorite. Like I'll quote any episode. I could do trivia. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm part of this thing called Star Trek Continues. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but.
Cool. So next question, maybe. We'll start with Wyatt. Favorite guest star on the show? Uh-oh, I hear the Jeopardy theme.
I've got an answer.
Okay, Kat,
all right,
you go.
Kat, you go first.
I can't decide.
Wait a minute.
That's so hard.
You're right. If you pick someone, then it's like not picking the rest of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough question, but I have to say Gigi Edgley is just like the most charming spark plug in the whole world. And and then I didn't even think, I saw Gigi. I spent a lot more time with Gigi, but Asia DeMarcos in Fairest of Them All was also amazing. Asia was also in Miss Congeniality. So maybe it was just because we did more girl get together things. but they were certainly fun. And like everyone, like Nicola Bryant was amazing. She would actually, it was funny. She was very hesitant to help anyone act. I guess that like actors don't do that. But as soon as I was like, I'm not an actor, I'm a doctor. Can you please help me? She was phenomenal. Like so much help, and it was just great. Everyone was wonderful. Sorry, go ahead, Wyatt.
No. It's so hard to pick a favorite, you know, because everybody was so awesome just being on the show. Although I think my favorite scenes that I did with guest stars would be Elizabeth Maxwell. We have that really cool scene. We had a couple of cool scenes in that episode where I get to like take her on a tour of the ship. And I take her into engineering, and then later we have kind of that standoff where she picks up the phaser. Those were all really, really fun to film. So
Cool.
if I had to pick a favorite, I think that would be it.
Cool. How about your happiest moment on set?
You know, I think my happiest moments were the really quiet times. You know, we had lots of fun on set. It was all day. We'd all go out to dinner together afterwards, but it was the times after dinner. So we'd all be kind of in a block of hotel rooms, like, and we'd be living there for 2 weeks. You know, it's like Star Trek camp. And so in the evenings, if people wanted visitors, they just prop their door open, right? So you kind of go up and down the hall visiting people, like kind of hopping in the hotel room, and you just hang out and talk. And, you know, I can remember there was a hotel next door that a couple people had to stay in, and there was a pool, and we just sit out by the pool under the stars and talk. So for me, the happiest times were like the quiet times where we spent just sitting around getting to know each other. It was really, really special.
Cool. Very cool. Wyatt?
Happiest moment, probably when I was on screen. No. I think my favorite moments were in the mornings when we would all come in. It was very early. Some of us had already been there for hours. Todd Habercorn had to come in hours early every day just to put his ears on. And the makeup artists and wardrobe and, you know, the person that opened the building was there. And so I'd come in all happy, you know, because I've had my good night's rest, and everybody there's kind of like half awake, and we would just sit in, you know, the makeup or in wardrobe and just talk and make jokes and laugh. And, you know, we had all these running inside jokes that we would talk about every day from filming. You know, we worked really, really hard. And I would say that when we were shooting, everybody knew it was go time. You know, everybody knew it was time to work, and we got a lot of stuff done because we really couldn't afford to make up for lost time. But we also played really hard and made a lot of jokes, and there's so many happy memories. I think my favorite memories are just sitting in the makeup chair in the morning, just talking about, you know, all the fun stuff we were going to do, or so-and-so said this, and, you know, just lots of good memories there.
Nice. Very nice. Let me just ask Ashley and Dan, are there any questions that people have asked?
Well, I remember vividly how cold it would be sometimes. You think of Georgia as a very warm place, but there'd be mornings where Todd, especially Todd, was wrapped up in a blanket, and so is our dear Lieutenant Uhura. And you could see the breath sometimes in those first shots. It was pretty chilly. And then that one August shoot with the AC not on because we wanted to have audio. Yes, I see Kat. It was just pouring off of us. Because I was doing audio and I was right up close with you guys looking at the sweat and the makeup. But it was a great set. Everybody knew their lines. It was a tight ship, but it was a fun ship. And you're right. Those dinners and hanging around at the pool, I'd have to go back to Jacksonville. You guys hung out, and now I'm jealous.
I'm sorry.
Well.
I have a quick memory to share, if that's okay.
Yes.
So Lisa actually just posted in the chat. So I totally forgot. This has got to be one of the highlights, not just of Star Trek Continues, but of my life. we would try and find fun things to do after work. And in the middle of Kingsland, Georgia, there wasn't a whole ton to do at night. But we found like a flyer for like a local wrestling match. And
I totally know what
was
you're gonna tell.
so excited. I had Lisa, our makeup director, she like painted my face like Paul Stanley from Kiss. And we went to this wrestling match, and it was just the most fun. No one there knew who we were, and we were just these random people that showed up and just were way too excited for this event. And it's some of the most fun I think I had on set, for sure. Not on set, but during a shoot.
So Lisa's on, I didn't realize because I can't see the feed, but I guess Lisa's online, and I just want you both to know that that's my mom, maybe my surrogate mom, but that's my mom. She's always led me in the right direction. So Lisa, if you're hearing this, I'm glad you're with us, and I probably owe you a call.
That's a young, hot mom.
Yeah, exactly, mom. To get off of continues just for a second, in the Star Trek universe, is there another series or a movie that's one of your favorites?
I have just loved Picard. Like, and believe me, I've watched every episode of every series, probably more than once, but I had such high hopes for Picard. See my background? Do you recognize it? And I'm so thrilled that it's on. It's like having all the people I love back in. I mean, 7 of 9, Hugh, come on. It was fantastic. So I'm just thrilled that's on. And I am excited to watch Lower Decks, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm intrigued.
Interesting. I loved Picard. I know not everybody does. But even in the very early episodes, and you knew you'd see Data again, but just having him have that interaction with Data, and then that ending where they put Data's lights out, for lack of a better term. I thought that was really wonderful. I know a lot of people don't care for it. I'm actually also looking forward to Strange New Worlds, which is, have you heard of that at all?
I've heard the title, but I don't know what the story is.
They're bringing back Captain Pike and Number One and Spock.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes. Oh, I love the new Pike. Holy cow.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. And they're going to go back to episodic episodes. I read today. So it's going to be more like, hopefully, the original series.
That's going to be awesome.
Wyatt, any other Star Trek that you watch that you like?
I mean, I like all of Star Trek. I love the concept of the universe, right? The lore. But I kind of a deep pick that a lot of people don't talk about. My favorite movie is Voyage Home, movie 4. I think it's hilarious. Chekov has a bunch of great moments in that film. And it's just, I used to fall asleep to that, and I'd put it on. I had a little VHS player in my room, and I watched that all the time.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Well, I found some photos of behind the scenes of Continues. Don't know. And then some of the cast and crew after hours, it seems like, trying to find things to do in Kingsland.
Oh, no. I hope it's not the ones with us on Vic's motorcycle.
No, but I didn't find that one, but I will.
What motorcycle?
Oh, no, don't find those. No, don't find those.
That looks like episode 3. For those of you that don't know, my hair, I had to keep it kind of long and awkward between shoots for the Chekov look, which was kind of just like pulled forward and then sideways on my head. And I have fairly straight hair, but as soon as it gets humid, and I'm from Salt Lake City, it's very dry here. I'd never been anywhere humid like that before. I stepped off the plane in Georgia and my hair looked like that. That is with nothing. That's no product. It's not wet. Like that's the story behind that photo.
Curse of the curls.
Yep.
Yay. Oh my gosh, that hairdo took so long to do. And there's like a giant fluffy tribble under my hair in the back. Seriously. Oh, that's with Dykstra at Skywalker Ranch, I think. Aren't they? I think so. Oh, Grant.
I think that was episode 2. They went to go play pool. I could be wrong though.
Cool. Very cool. We talked about happy moments and things like that. Did you ever have a shocking moment on set?
I did. So, they're radios. Like the crew talks to each other on radios, and then in the hair and makeup area, actually the radios are sitting out. They're not like in their little earbuds, so you could hear the radio. And so I'm in there getting hair and makeup done, and all of a sudden it goes, "Cat to set." And Lisa picks up the radio, and she's like, "She's not due on set till 9. She's like a half an hour out." And they're like, "Cat to set now and put a robe on her so she doesn't get blood on her uniform." And we're like, okay. So I had actually, as a physician, I did not love their medical kit there. So I actually flew out like this huge medical kit with all this crazy stuff. So I grabbed my medical kit, put on a robe so I don't get blood on my uniform, and go on to set. And I don't know if you remember, but one of the crew had ripped his arm open all the way through the skin, all the way through the muscle. So the muscle was bulging. Sorry if you're having dinner, but doctors are gross. And he's like, "Just sew me up." And I was like, I can't sew up something like this that's this big and this deep. So that was a real surprise. And we did have to send him to the hospital. But I had suture, but that was too much of a closure and it really had to get cleaned out. So that was a surprise for me on set.
I don't know if I have anything that cool.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. The only thing I really think of is there was one time when we were doing a stunt scene, and it's the scene where the espers take over the bridge.
Yeah.
And they kind of mind control everybody, and we're trying to get to them and they're just like, throwing them away. And there's that shot where Chekov gets up and she holds him and then she tosses him to the side. And the way that we shot that is I step up onto kind of that little platform beneath the captain's chair, and then I just kind of jumped off onto a mat. And there was one take where my foot kind of slipped off first, and I kind of did the splits, but it tore my pants all the way up. And so I had to run back to wardrobe really quickly. So
there was one moment
I was there. I don't even remember that.
I was pretty quick. You would have had to been fast.
Captain Kirk himself used to love to adjust your hair. At a moment's notice, he'd just reach out and just tuck down a little hair, that the backlight was showing. It was a perfectionist in him.
The first 3 or 4 episodes, anytime Vic didn't like my hair, he would just grab a pair of scissors and I would get a new haircut. And those uniforms They did not breathe well. They were very itchy and very sweaty from all the lights and the makeup. So that I always knew if I got a haircut, it was gonna be an uncomfortable day on set. But I put a stop to that episode 4 and beyond. So
Nice. So I'm going to ask Kat. You're obviously a physician, and I'm just wondering. I think you're a radiologist.
I am.
Is that correct? So I got that right. Do people know you as Lieutenant Palmer and an actress? I mean, maybe not primarily, but do they know what you've done?
Yes. Yeah, they do. I don't know. Most people think it's weird. Doctors don't usually do this, but it's fine. It's a very accepting crowd. So, yep. It's not really too unusual. When I first went on set, I first got the email about Fairest of Them All. I actually didn't know that it was Mirror Universe. I was just told that I would be more scantily clad than a typical Starfleet uniform. And at the place I was working before, I was actually afraid I was going to get fired if I was in anything scantily clad, not particularly tolerant. So I went to my CEO and asked permission to make sure I wouldn't get fired from being a doctor. I'm like, it's Star Trek. It can't be that sordid. But like the place I work now is like 100% behind anything. They don't care what I do. They're like, you want to be in a movie? Be anything you want in a movie. They love it.
Very cool. So what's in the future for you guys?
Wyatt?
Well, once it's safe outside. No, so I don't know. That's a good question. I'm still fairly young. I just turned 26 this year. I just finished filming a feature film just last year called Electric Jesus. That is showing at a few festivals here soon. We just got accepted into Nashville Film Festival. And there's a couple other ones and that escapes me, but yeah, that should be coming out here soon. Right now, I mean, my background is in music, but also in technology. Like I've worked in IT my whole life. I'm a huge video game nerd. That's like, if I had to list like the things I'm nerdiest about, it's like video games, Star Trek and the Lord of the Rings are like tied for second, and then music. So
what video games?
Sorry, what?
What video games?
Oh, a lot, all of them. Pretty much all of them. I mean, I have every console. I custom built my own computer. And I play like Destiny 2, Smash Bros is a huge part of my life. I compete local tournaments and stuff like that. Not right now because nobody's going anywhere. But it's been a great time to be a gamer because I don't go anywhere anyway.
Well, it's my kids who are your age, which kind of stinks that you could be my son. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But they would be right there sitting next to you because they are gamers. I remember, when the kids were small, young, very young, maybe even like 5 and 6. Back then we had them on a Mac. I don't even know what it was. And they've grown up on a PC, but we've had every type of gaming system known to man, if that's politically correct. Kat?
I am looking forward to life getting back to normal. I would really like normal again. I would really like to be around people and friends and, go to a Star Trek convention. And the movie that I'm cast in Storyville, you know, with like Marina Sirtis and all these like super cool, like real Star Trek women. That's on hold until it's safe. So I just hope for the future. I'm grateful, you know, for what I have now. And I'm looking forward to us all being back together again.
Very cool. You made me think of another question, and then I'll go over to you. But both of you have talked about being at conventions, and you've obviously worked with the Continues folks, and some of them are larger than life. Have you ever met someone who, I don't know, just took your breath away, so to speak?
That's a tough one for me because I don't know how to say that. I mean, like, yeah, no, that's a tough one for me because I kind of do the doctor thing, and I took care of really, really famous people. So you had to be, I don't know, you were just normal. They were just people. So I guess I don't really get shocked like that because I was trained from such an early age in my medical career to, you know, treat everyone like the same and with dignity and not get too kind of overwhelmed. So I don't know. Wyatt, do you have a better answer?
I was in a sheer state of panic for probably the first 6 episodes before I really figured out how to be around famous people without, you know, blacking out. I have a story about, at one point, all of us were guests at Phoenix Comic-Con. I think in 2015, man, yeah. That just seems like it was not that long ago. And I had my own booth, and like, you know, people would come up and ask my autograph, and I was like, what is happening? You know, I had like this incredible sense of like imposter syndrome. I remember I was signing autographs, and it was like the scheduled lunch in the green room. And I was like, okay, you know, finished up, I'll be right back. I run in the green room, and I just head straight for the table. You know, it was like a long table, and I grab a plate, and I'm just kind of standing there waiting for a second, catch my breath, still panicking. And then I'm like, oh, I should get some food. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And the person in front of me is kind of going slow. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And I kind of look over, and standing next to me is Katie Sackhoff. And I'm like, so my brain does the only thing that it can think of, which is act normal. So I'm like, okay. And so I just start putting salad on my plate. And that is the function that I was stuck on for like 30 seconds. So I'm just continually putting salad on my plate while I'm waiting for the line to move. And I look up, and standing in front of me is Carl Urban on the opposite side of the table. And so I just take a big old scoop of salad and just keep putting it on my plate. So I have this mountain of salad on my plate, and the line finally starts to move. So like, you can't just put the salad back into the bowl. That's obviously not how food works, but I'm also super hungry, and I want the food that's farther down on the table. And so I grab another plate. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is what I meant to do. I eat this much salad. I like salad, but not that much. And so we go down, you know, and all these people are trying to talk to me. They're like, are you an actor? You know, I'm like, I'm going to get kicked out. Am I supposed to be back here? Oh, and you know, I turn around, and, you know, there's all these famous people in there, and I'm trying to find a spot to sit. And so I sat next to Lou Ferrigno and Christopher Lloyd and ate my mountain of salad. And they were both super nice. Everybody was so nice. But yeah, I definitely was in a continued state of panic for, I mean, there's like a longer end of that story, but it just involved me panicking, seeing people this close to me while I was trying to eat food. So yes is the answer to that question.
So my only question is, do you still eat salad?
You know, I'm allergic now, that I overdosed on salad. No, I like salad, but just I can't. You guys, it was like a full platter. Like you're meant to put like all these different foods on, like, and it wasn't like the small plates. It was like the big plates, and mine was full of salad. I probably had half of the salad bowl just on my plate. Like, and it was over a long period of time, so you think like I'm standing here and I see the person standing next to me, and then I'm like, salad, look up salad, like I'm just trying to fit in, and I'm doing the one thing that I know how to do, which is put salad on my plate. So
do you guys remember the last scene we shot at Camden County High School when all of us got to put on the uniform, those of us from behind the scenes, and joined you guys, and the worst nightmare in the world, walking around a Georgia high school in a Starfleet uniform, occurred? But on a serious note, what were your thoughts when you realized that was it?
I was just grateful. I was grateful to have been along for the ride.
I'm crying in that scene. Those tears were real. I'm not acting.
Okay.
But you guys were certainly part of something that has caught the eye of a lot of people. It's probably something that probably would never be produced again, if that's the right word. It would never be created again. And you've all become part of Star Trek lore, canon. I guess you're really part of canon. So that's very cool. That's very cool. Ashley, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just scoping around for more photos again, and Wyatt wasn't kidding when he said he got a haircut.
Many haircuts.
You have an interesting barber.
Yeah. We discovered combs later on in the show.
That's very cool. How about those? Did you always have a beard? I'm sure, I know you had to shave it, but I'm always curious about those pointy sideburns.
So I've had a beard since I was 13. I hate shaving. I hate it. And so being clean shaven at each shoot, I have to shave with like a straight edge, and like very high end shaving cream, just because my face hates it. It is not a fan. And the makeup people will tell you, because my face would get so irritated all the time. Most of the time I have like a huge beard. I just, when I start having a hard time eating soup is when I shave. It's like 3 times a year.
I have one question.
Okay.
One word. Reunion? ? STC? That's 2 words.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safe.
Okay.
There's been all kinds of intermittent talk about us getting back together and doing different projects. And yeah, there will be none of that at the moment, but it sure would be fun.
You're right about that. I've tried to do over the couple of years that, 2.5 or so, up until recently, tried to put together these fan weekends. In fact, Wyatt, back in, 2018, probably, we were trying to get you, but schedules didn't work out. And I've always tried to it's hard to get in touch with people. So now,
yeah,
unfortunately, you're now locked in my system. So I know I can get in touch with you. But when all of this settles down, I would like to do just like a big Star Trek Continues convention.
Oh, that'd be great.
STC Con or something. I know Vic loves being on the set. He loves giving the tours. He tries to get down there every chance he gets. And I'm sure, you guys and maybe everybody would be interested in just doing a reunion. We'll have it someplace, and then, this way we can all retire to the studio, and fans can meet you guys. And I think that would be a very cool thing. I think, actually, having said that, Wyatt, I think you mentioned, having been at cons, and you've been at cons. What kind of a reaction do you get from fans? Because you must have fans who come to see you.
So I am probably the least recognizable character in the show outside of uniform. Like, when I'm not in uniform, in makeup, because my hair is a different color, and it's very styled on set. So like when I'm not Chekov, my hair doesn't usually look like that. And so a lot of times I have to like convince people that it's me in the show. I'll like pull up a picture and be like, yeah, this is me. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, no, it totally is. So actually it's pretty uncommon. It's usually that people will recognize the show, or like I'll have like a shirt on or something like that. And people will be like, oh, wow, you've seen Star Trek Continues? I'm like, yeah, I have. But I usually actually don't get recognized all that often.
Cat?
Yeah, I got recognized at cons, which blew me away. And I still get fan mail, which is super sweet. Since I'm a doctor, people have gotten clever and they figure out where I work. And then they just send it to my work, and my work gives it to me. So it's amazing. The love that people have for the show. And I mean, Vic really made something special here. I mean, out of nothing. So that's really saying something.
Nice. Very nice. Good memories. Good memories. Ashley, do we have anybody asking any questions online? If not, that's okay. I see a lot of hearts and smiley faces. And
I can't see that.
Oh, you can't see that?
No, because I'm not on Facebook.
That's right. Ask your husband.
There you go.
I'm not seeing much right now. Granted, I've been scrolling for pictures.
Okay. Lots of hearts going on. I can see that. Okay. So I thought this was terrific. I don't know if you guys have any last comments or things you want to say, but I'll turn that over to you and see if there's something else you'd like to pass along to the groups.
So Scott's asking Wyatt to do the Chekov accent.
Nuclear vessels, Captain.
And what was the one thing you kept messing up? Was it like antedum?
Antedum. Antedum. So it was in the Divided We Stand episode. There is a line where I'm essentially reading, like an information prompt on the computer, and I could not say antedum in a Russian accent to save my life. And we have like one take in the bloopers, 1 or 2 takes, but there were actually like 50.
It was so funny. I thought you were doing it intentionally to have a whole blooper reel.
No,
you said
absolutely not. Because it's like the EI is kind of elongated or modified, like antedum. And so my brain just kept like trying to jumble all those letters together. So I would say like antititium. And so people gave me so much crap over that. It's even written all over the set at some, like on the back of like whenever we sign stuff, there are all the mispronunciations of that word.
How do you think I felt holding a microphone? I'd have to stop from laughing.
I was gonna say, you probably heard all the whispering. We always try to make each other laugh on set. As soon as we knew we had something, then the jokes started coming out. Anytime I handed something to somebody else on set, I would usually have like a picture drawn on it, or like a funny quote, or, just something to try and trip them up. And they would do the same thing to me.
It sounds like some of the blooper reels that we have going with the studio now. I keep saying Ray needs to post one of the ones that I did where the door slammed shut close to me walking into the briefing room. That is a scary sound.
So, Kat, any final thoughts?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And gosh, I wish I could have seen all the Facebook feed stuff. So, but I'm so pleased that people love this show, and I love doing it. And I'm so grateful to have been there, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So thank you so much.
I certainly appreciate you being here. This has been a lot of fun. Wyatt, any last remarks?
I'm trying to think of something unique or fun that I could share. You know, I think I shared all my cool stories already. I just appreciate that there's so much love for the show. You know, I mean, this was something that we did in our spare time. You know, like I would, you know, take my time off work. You know, it was my vacation, but I was still like working, you know, and every job I ever got, I was like, hey, listen, there's this thing that I need to be able to do. Like that was the priority, you know. It's something that we loved. And I think my favorite thing about it was just being there with everyone who was committed as we were, you know. I mean, it was a job for some people, but it was like, it was a dream for everyone, you know, and it was cool to share that.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, like I said, you guys have really done something. I remember, my own quick memory of Continues is I remember having watched episode 1 with Apollo, and I sat there and I said, I have to meet this guy, and that was Vic, because he created, he produced it, he starred in it, he wrote it. I don't know what else. He probably cooked at night. I have no idea. But
cut hair.
And I said, I have to meet him. And I saw that he was at a local convention in South Florida. He was at Florida SuperCon. And I went there specifically to meet him. And I got to his table and there was nobody there. Not yet, anyway. There was nobody there. And I must have spent 20 minutes talking to him about Star Trek. I mean, he was like, here's my email address. Just keep in touch. It's like, who does that? Who does that? And, you know, I've met some of the folks that have been in Continues, and now it's really a pleasure to meet you guys. And I definitely would like to do this again. I definitely would love to have you back. Kat, I'm going to give you the responsibility of calling all those Continues people you know. Now, I've never been called cool, okay? But you could say there's this cool guy in South Florida that really wants to do a Continues reunion. Let's see what we could get. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you being here. I really want to do it again. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did. Absolutely. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Oh, yeah. We got to do this.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you, guys.
Herbert.
Bye.
So we really are Star Trek fans. That's what you're telling me.
That's right. All right, I'm taking off.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, guys.